Well, hey y'all, hope y'all are doing well as you can in your neck of the woods. It's a Saturday morning. It's a lot cloudy and windy as I'll get out right now here. It's like 20 this morning again, something like that, 20s. And I guess we got a cold front moving in, I reckon. But so I hope y'all are doing good. Let me know what the weather is looking like in y'all's areas. I like to hear from y'all, seeing where y'all are at and everything. But not gonna delay the video. It's a video I've been needing to make, been wanting to make, just timing and hoping the words come out the way I hope they do. This is my biggest thing I've been waiting on. So anyway, we're gonna go. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Do it. As my dad would say, do it. So yeah, y'all. So I'm trying to start this. It's been a wild what's it, October? About 2 months, month and a half. It's been a pretty wild, in mostly good ways. I don't know if y'all can hear the wind, y'all. It's getting it, but it's been really good, and just a lot of incredible things have happened. So I'm trying to say how to word this, because it's just pretty amazing. But those that watched, I guess I'll start all the way back. Watched the caribou hunting fishing video I did. We posted. That was in late August time frame this year. I had said in that video we had hit a bad spot in that river. Me and Luke did about 30 miles up that river. We had a spot that every old timer, young timer, anybody that's been here for any amount of time that it runs these rivers, I am not exaggerating when I say every single one of them personally knows at least one person that has sunk their boat and or died. It's really crazy to think about, when, like, where I'm from, that's really not a thing, like, ever. Total different deal. And anyhow, not to pull off topic on that, but we had hit that spot in that river. That was our turn to hit one of those spots to where it was like, it could have been, that was the time where boats going down, or worse. So I didn't allude too much in that video because I was still pretty upset about it. But anyway, after that, coming back home, we loaded the boat up. We, in that video, we stayed the night, and I got into a good spot where I could park the boat out of the main current, and just was told Luke, I was like, it ain't worth. We got to go twice this distance, so roughly, to get to where caribou are. It just ain't worth it trying to fight this river and stuff. To me, anyway, it just ain't worth it. There's nothing out here worth putting my kids' lives in jeopardy, and the whole point of being on the river is for my kids. I want them to be able to experience being on the water like I did, but it's just not worth it. So I was like, I'm done. And we camped that night, and then I told Luke, well, on the way back, I thought about what my dad would do. My dad would always make the best. He would try his best to make the best of a bad situation, even though it aggravates the snot out of him. He would always try to make the best of it, no matter how frustrating it was for him. And I wouldn't realize nowhere near the extent of how frustrated he would be, because he would try his best to hide it and just try to make the most for us kids. So I was like, that's what I need to do. So on the way back, we tried to fish a couple spots, and thank God it was awesome that Luke caught a super awesome coho salmon. I'll put a picture of. But that was really awesome. He was able to get him. So that made the trip a lot better, especially for him. But anyway, on the way back, we made it to the boat launch, and I was still just frustrated and disappointed, because it's like every time I go on the water, because for me, y'all, being on the water that's like my pastime, like my most favorite passion is just being on the river. You know, not necessarily ponds and lakes, they're okay, but just rivers, something about them. A lot of people will refer to them as medicine. It's just something about it. And I spend my whole life, every weekend of my entire life has been on river. That's just my number one thing, I want to do, and I want to show my kids that. I love gardening, I love homesteading stuff, but number one, if I had one thing to do, it'd be on the water fishing and hunting with my family. So anyway, it's just like this was like I felt like was the last nail in the coffin. Was trying to make it work, because like every time, what I'm used to, like I say, I'm used to down south river where I'm from anyway, total different ball game. And coming to here, it's not fun when you're constantly trying to read the river. Every foot of that river you have to the driver is paying attention to, that you don't run aground, tear the hole out of your boat, with rocks, and tear the hole out of your boat, or run into a sweeper or something and flip the boat, sink the boat, all these manner of things. Just constantly, so I can't enjoy it anyway. That's just me. I can't. It's what I'm used to doing. So anyway, we got to the landing, got the boat out of the water, had a little bit of issue with the motor not wanting to crank back up, so I just like made a little more added insult to injury on it, because it was just like, come on, man, just like started floating backwards down the river, and the motor's not wanting to crank, and Luke's on the bank looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, motor ain't one. It was just, good grief, man, it was just so much. I was just frustrated and disappointed, really frustrated. And we started driving back. Well, I've told this story to a few people, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like at least when I get really frustrated, and I don't like to be, but when I do, because I'm human, I'll drive down the road and I won't know how I got back. Maybe some of y'all can, understand what I'm getting at, but I just get so frustrated. You just get home, you know how to get home, but I don't know how, I don't know what I passed. I couldn't have told you what I seen. I just got home. Because I was that frustrated. So anyway, we were getting down the road, and saying I was in that mindset. I'm just trying to get home. I don't care. I was just frustrated. And when we got fairly close to town, God reached out, pulled on my heart, and far as for now anyway, that's how God's been getting a hold of me. Is I try to tell when I know it's God, like for me, when I'm talking to myself, like in my mind, it's up here. Like when I'm thinking about something and I'm talking to Josh up here, it's up here. I'm thinking like, man, what am I gonna do today, or what I need to get done? It's all up here. But when God gets a hold of me, it's coming from my heart. It's a whole nother, like, I know it ain't me. Like, it's like I'm talking to my dad, my physical dad, not my spiritual dad, but it's like the same concept of I'm talking to my physical dad. So it's a yes sir, and I get, I'm like, oh, yes sir, what do you need? He gets my attention. When God gets on him, when he gets a hold of me, the times he has, it's like that same, like, I'm like, oh, I have no doubt in my mind. That's what it was. Well, we were going down the road, and like I said, I'm just zoned out. And he yanked, I feel like he's just like, hey. And I'm like, whoa. And I like came to, then I'm like, all right, I'm paying attention. And it's like, you need to pay attention to this car coming up right up here. And at the time, because I'm highly frustrated still, as my dad would say, I was being a bit of a peckerhead, which I've been known to be. And I'm like, man, and I'm literally having a full-on conversation. It's like I'm talking to my dad, which I am talking to my dad, my spiritual dad, the dad of the dads. And I'm like, I don't want to look at the car. I just want to get home. I don't care. I just want to go home and wallow in self-pity. Okay. And he's like, just as calm. He's like, you need to pay attention to this car. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'm 100% just being a peckerhead. I'm just like, man, I don't care about the car. I just want to get home. And he's like, you need to pay attention to it. I'm like, all right. Well, this car is on the opposite lane. He comes across, and it's going in the same line of traffic I am. and gets up to me, and I go to look at it. I'm like, God, I'm like literally having full on conversation. I'm like, there's nothing special about the car. It's just a car. It's got a Alaska tag. That's it. And I just keep going. And he's like, no, look again. Just all the patience in the world, because I'm just being a Israelite. Like, good grief. And my God, and the car is like, I'm in my truck like this, and it's right there. And I'm like, looking at it like, what is so special about this car? Looking, I'm like, okay, nothing in the car tag. I was like, well, it's a different color, yellow. I'm looking at it, I'm like, what is that? ALA. I'm like, it's Alaska. ALA BAMA. Oh, ha. Real funny, God. Like, rub it in. So it's an Alabama tag. And I would have never, ever seen or cared about it if he didn't get a hold of me. Because I'd passed, I don't know how many cars before I hadn't looked at any of them. And my first instinct is just because out of my frustration, and I'm like, on the way back when I am thinking about stuff, it's like, I did not have to deal with this as far as the rivers and worrying about killing my family on the water down there in Alabama. I didn't have to worry about it. It's never a thing in my mind. Crossed my mind ever. I'm just frustrated because it's like, man, I want to make it work and it's just not working, And then when Cotton brings that to my attention, I'm like, oh, ha, real funny, like, rub it in. Like, I know. That's what it felt like. I mean, for me, out of my flesh, I was just like, oh, Anyway, so I was just like, okay, and I got home, and I didn't really think much more of it. That I was just so frustrated. I got the truck back in. My wife wasn't expecting to see me for, I told her at least 3 to 4 days. And so when I pulled up, she, and I had texted her and told her I was on the way back, everything. But she was comforting me because I was getting real emotional because I was just so upset. It's like I can't hammer it. Like, that's my passion, hobby. It's a passion, is being on the water and providing food for my family from the water. Whether that's going to get game or fish, it's being on the water doing it. And that's been my whole life. So coming here and it's steadily like it's fighting me, and it's apples to oranges. It's so different. It's just difficult from coming from there to here, trying to make something similar work. It's just, for me, it's just almost impossible. And, so my wife's comforting me, and I'm so upset. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I was the last nail in the coffin. And I told her, like, I'm going to sell the boat. I'm sick of it. It's not no point in keeping the dumb thing. I don't plan on getting back. I'll do something else. We'll get back on side by side or something. I don't care. I'm getting rid of the boat. I'm done. I'm not. Ever since Luke looked me in the eyes and I seen the fear in his eyes when he knew we were in a bad spot on that river, I'm like, there ain't nothing out here worth that, I don't care what it is here. It ain't nothing. So anyway, she's just, trying to be encouraging, tell me calm down, it'll be all right, and you sleep it off, and I'm fired up, But later that day, I started calming down and praying about it. I'm trying to pray because I'm so frustrated. It's hard to pray when I'm frustrated. For me, following morning, got out and I was like, you know what, I calmed all the way back down, and I'm like, you know what, I don't need to act like this. It's totally out of my flesh. And I was like, I know God brought us here for a reason, and I'm not gonna leave or do anything that he wouldn't, unless I know he wants me to do. Let me put it that way. Because he brought us here, 1000% brought us here. And so anyway, I was like, you know what? I was just talking to God. I mean, just God loves to hear from y'all, 100%. Like, more and more I do it, I'm like, he's literally like the best dad ever. I mean, people say, he's 100% is your dad. He wants to be part of your life anyway, shape or form. He just wants to be part of your life. So he just like, man, God, you see the football? I mean, like anything. I mean, literally, he just wants to be part of, he's your dad. He wants that same kind of bond. The best dad in the world. And so I was just talking to him. I'm like, man, God, I was like, it seems like no matter what I do, and I try to make the river work, it never stinking works. I have to worry about dying or killing my family, or trying not to, reading this river and trying to, all this thing. It's just, I can't enjoy it, and it's just difficult. It's so difficult. It takes all the fun out of it. And I was like, and as much as part of me wants, I could, there's nothing stopping me. I could do what I want, as far as, my mind, I'm like, if I wanted to, I'm like, you know what, I'm done with this. I can move. We could leave because I want to. But then I got, when I was talking to him, I'm like, after sleeping it off and sleeping and praying about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that because I know you brought us here for a reason. And, if I do it on my terms, or if I do anything on my terms over what I know you brought us here, or, if I know God's leading me to do this and I do something else, expect it to crash and burn, at least in my experience. That was the old Josh that when we left Alabama, everything is on fire for me anyway. It was burning to the ground, rock bottom, anxiety, depression, and wanting to just end it. And so I was like, I don't want to go back down that road. So I'm gonna, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll give up being on the water and the boat thing or whatever. We'll do something else. I can make something else happen with the family, out and around the woods. Whether get another different, like a side by side or something again, whatever. But I'll make something work because I know you want us here for some reason. I still to that day did not know what in the world you wanted us to do. But I knew he brought us here. So I'm like, hey, I'll make something else work. I mean, I'm just like, it'll be okay. It'll be fine. I'll do something else. I didn't think anything of it. But then after that, I prayed about it. I was like, God, I really feel like you were trying to point something to me about that tag, that Alabama tag. You were trying to, something was important about that. And mind you, I don't see too many Alabama tags up here in Alaska. So minus my family, I've seen 2 in 6 years. That was the second one. To my knowledge anyway. So anyway, just, but the fact that I know he pulled my attention to that, that's what made it, I was like, man, there's something about that, so started praying about it. I'm like, God, if you're trying to show me something, I was like, hey, make it, just continue to make it real. Show me more signs, or just tell me what you want me to do, or what, I don't know, whatever. Just, just talking to him just like a normal dad. And, just praying about that. Well, 2 days later, literally after that, 2 days later, my father-in-law called my wife. And my father-in-law is not the most outgoing person. I'm trying to be nice, praying for him. But he's had a real long, rough, hard life, I'll put it that way, and it's made him the way he is. I have no doubt. And he's just dealing with a lot of resentment and bitterness because of it. That I can totally get, So he's been a certain way for the 17 years that I've been with my wife, and when we were dating and all, he's been about the exact same that I've ever known him for 17 years. And yeah, towards anybody. He's not generally somebody who wants people, people have a hard time reading him, put it that way, And so anyway, and we pray for him. I try to remember to pray for him. But anyhow, he hadn't talked to my wife in over a month. And she had sent him a Bible verse equivalent to like a Bible verse in a text message, just kind of witnessing to him a little bit. Well, he didn't really like that, and just didn't talk to her. And generally they talk about once a week, just to kind of stay on what's going on. But he hadn't talked in over a month because of that, and it's not the first time this has happened. And she had sent him pictures and stuff, trying to, and with the grandkids and things, trying to get us to try to make conversation and all, and he just wasn't having it, which is, okay. But anyway, so he called, and it's been over a month since he had called or talked to her. And she put him on speaker. We were in the kitchen, I remember. And the only thing he said was, she just answered, and he's like, so I don't know how to really say this, but for some reason, Josh has been on my heart recently. And like for us, knowing him, this is like seeing a ghost. All right, better be seeing an angel in person, because it's like something that I have never remotely ever heard him say, and I'm so glad he did. My wife too was just taking just like that. Um, this is not something this guy, God bless him, has ever said remotely close ever. And so my wife was just, and I'm like, I'm like, that's your dad, right? She's like, yeah. And I'm saying, like, holy smokes. So she didn't really know what to say back. I mean, she's kind of like, man, she's like, okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear, or, whatever she was trying to say. She's just so taken away from it. And he's like, and for some reason, something's telling me that he'd like to see pictures of the river, And it ain't just the river, it's the river. Like, this is the river where we lived and launched the boat, and I was on that river 4 times a week. 3 to 4 times a week every week. And my wife is just, I was like, oh yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely. And my wife told him, and he's like, oh, he'd love to see some pictures of the river. He doesn't get to see it, like he, obviously like we used to, but he's like, yeah, he doesn't get to see it. He'd love to see pictures of it. And so he's like, all right. And he just hung up. And he was already at his house. He drove back down to the river just to take pictures for me, which is something else that is extraordinarily huge, y'all. I cannot stress, like, massive for this guy. And it's so awesome. It's insane. Like, I'm telling you, this guy, if you knew him, huge, okay? So I was like, okay, God, all right. I feel like, it's never happened in 17 years, nothing remotely close to anything coming from him. So I'm appreciative. And I really feel like that may have been a sign. I'm like, okay, and I'm praying about it. Keep praying every day. I'm trying to, every day I'm like, God, give me some sign. If there's something you're trying to tell me or show me, just make it real. Show me sign. And among other things I'm praying about, just, hey, I'm game for anything you want me to do. Just show me the sign that, or tell me what I need to do. Well, after that, that day, I called my dad and my mom and stuff, and told them what happened, and I told them about, the previous thing with the Alabama tag, and then now this, and I'm like, man, I feel like, there's no way that's not a sign. Because that's never, I cannot, like, say, y'all, this is huge for him, and it's awesome. My dad mom and both of them were like, yeah, 100%. They're just like, that's amazing. And my mom, she had something really interesting. I thought was really awesome because God had told her to move from Ohio to Alabama, and this was probably around 30 years ago. And most everybody there, I think all but, like she said, one, thought she was crazy for doing this, and or for thinking that or whatever. And so she got a little doubtful. Well, she started praying more and more about it, and was like, God, if this is what you want me to do, continue to show me signs and make it real that this is what you want me to do. But if it isn't, please remove the desire from my heart. I'm like, ooh, I like that. I like that. That just kind of lays it out. I mean, that really lays it out, plain and simple. Like, remove that desire, be done with it. If this isn't you, I don't want it. Get it out of here. I mean, I like that. So I'm gonna start praying that. So in between this, and this is Alabama tag, 2 days, fall-in-law, building up next day. In between these days too, and I'm like, man, God, I'm like, I can't help but think you're pointing at us in Alabama. And I'm petrified, honestly, that it's my flesh that's wanting to go to Alabama and not God saying, go to Alabama. And so I'm really, really wanting to make sure, like, like, I need signs, God. If, whatever you got planned, I need signs. And in between all this praying I'm trying to pray, when I'm praying about it, it's like, well, God, if you are pointing us kind of, it seems like that kind of, why'd you bring me here? Like, why'd you bring us here? Like, you brought us 4,600 miles away. It's like, why? Like, I'm game for anything you want me to do here, but like, I don't know what, I'm thinking like, I don't know, I can't read minds, and I don't know what you want me to do. If you tell me to do it, I'm game. I'm at that point, I'm game, I'll do it. And it's always like crickets. Like, I say crickets, it's like I never hear anything back, and I'm like, well, I'm just not at that point in my walk with him, or things haven't fell into place for that next step to come, or whatever. So it's like, okay, I'll keep praying about it. But I'm really praying hard about it. I'm like, man, God, it just seems like you're wanting us to possibly go back or something, but I don't feel like I've done anything up here. Well, about 2 days later, after the phone call, we invited our pastor over just to get a bite to eat, because he was, most of his family were all flying around, traveling and stuff, doing things, and he's by himself, and he was at the church, which is like 5 minutes from us, and I was texting him, and I was like, shoot, you're over there, you want to come grab a bite to eat or something real quick? My wife always makes extra, and if you want to come grab something, I was like, shoot, yeah, okay, I appreciate it. So we just come over, and we're best friends too. Y'all seen my pastor in, I know, well, at least 1 or 2 videos on this channel, and then even before, I believe. So anyway, he's a best friend to me. He came over, and we were just talking, and then, the Lord put something on his heart that, I don't want to, that's his thing, but, I don't know if he wants me to tell everybody or whatever, but we just got to fellowship, and he's like, God's putting this on our heart, him and his wife, they're both pastors, putting this on their heart. Well, like in the Bible, it says, and I wish I knew the verse, I should have had that pin marked already, but maybe it's in Matthew, I can't remember, but it's 2 or more together that I will be there with them. And we were fellowshipping and all, just having a good time. He's talking about, yeah, God's doing this, and it literally felt like a USB plug, like when you plug in something, your computer or your phone or whatever, automatically just like a blink, and it just like boom. Yeah, I know, because I never knew why we came here. What was the point? And it literally, when he had said what God put on their heart, it's like God was like, now you're ready to know 100%, because it was like blink, upload. And I remember it almost word for word. I might paraphrase it, probably end up paraphrasing a little bit, but it was just as plain as like, same thing, pull on my heart, hit the brakes. I'm like, yes, sir. Like, immediately no. And he's like, do you ever think that I brought you up here not for what you could do here, but for what I needed you to do for yourself? Because I needed you to get better mentally, spiritually, and in maturity, so then I could use you back down south to plant seeds and witness to people. And I say planting seeds, like witnessing, ministering to people. And like I said, I probably butchered that a little bit, but that was what it was. Just like, do you ever think that I brought you here just for you, and not for what you could do here, but what I needed you to get right? Because I was a wreck, y'all. Bad wreck. When we were leaving, well, right there up, about last 2.5 years, 3 years, about 3 years. I was on antidepressants for 2.5 years, and, struggling with severe depression, severe anxiety, to the point I was just flirting with driving down the road, and trees and bridges were looking like good targets to just 50-50 shot to end it all, because I was just done. And, so anyway, I was, I didn't care about any of my hobbies. I didn't care about nothing. I was done. I was so done with everything. I was just done. And, so anyway, I was, once he said that, it was like, when he said that, did you ever think I needed you to get right? And I was just like, nope, never thought of that. And I never, in 100 years, I'm thinking like, what do you want me to, do I need to help into the church more? Do I need to do this, or whatever? I need to do something here, because when I would pray, I was like, God, what do you want me to do here? I always said here. And I don't know if that means anything. I felt like it did, and it does, because I was always saying I was in my mind, my human mind, thinking that it's got to be here. You brought me all of us 4,600 miles away. Whatever you want me to do, and it's got to be up here, right? All right, sorry, y'all. I had to crank up my wife's truck and get it warmed up for her. But yeah, but it's still, I was still like, I'm down with whatever you want me to do, God. But I was just like, man, you brought us all the way up here for that, 4,600 miles away. And it just, to me, it was just like such a big thing for me. I'm like, oh, it's 46. But literally that same day, that night, I knew God reached out. I was like, do you ever think that, you ever realize that you think that 4,600 miles is any kind of distance to me? He's like, I'm God. What is 4,600 miles to me? Like, literally. And I'm thinking, like, literally talking to him, like, yeah, it's probably about like a hair on a fly's back. And he's like, I literally felt like, just like your dad, man. Like, the coolest dad ever. God is so awesome. And, he's like, time doesn't matter to me. Time, it doesn't influence God. So what is 4,600 miles to me? I'm like, well, that's a very good point. Because every time I was saying, when I'm praying, I'm like, what do you want me to do here? I'm thinking, like, it's got to be here. And I'm like, whole time, and now I'm thinking, like, God's like, you got to think bigger. You're thinking in human terms of, well, it's got to be here because this is what I see and I feel and I know. But God's back here just like, really, guy? Really? You think any of that matters to me? I can do whatever I want. So anyway, so that was the next thing. That was either the next day or 2 days after that phone call I got from father-in-law. So now I'm like, God, okay. So now it's looking like we're going to be moving. Looking like 100%. But part of me still is like, I'm petrified that it's my flesh. That I'm like, man, God's going to, I'm still thinking in my flesh, and I'm trying to make something of this, and it's maybe not to the extent of what I think or whatever, So I'm still praying. I'm like, God, I know you told me all these things, but just continue to give me more signs, Father, and make it real, and show me what you want me to do. Just kind of staying with that prayer and praying with a whole bunch of other stuff too. Trust me. And the next day after that, literally after that time, get another phone call. My wife does, from her dad, my father-in-law, and he's like, so I was at the river today, fishing off the bank, and this old man pulls up to him and starts fishing and all. And, they got to talking and this and that, and they get to talking and chewing the fat, as we say. And the old man gets to talking to him like, yeah, I can't do things like I used to, and I'm probably going to have to move. And the house I'm in, it's just rough taking care of it, the property, and I'm just getting too old to take care of it. He's like, I'd hate to because I live right up the hill right here, but he's like, I'm probably going to have to. And father-in-law's kind of looking at him like, I'm picturing this, kind of look down. I'm like, well, he's like, where at? Here. He's like, oh, old man's like, oh, you're right here on the side, just right up the road, right from the boat launch, right here. And his father-in-law's like, okay, kind of just like, that old man. And I'll say, I know in my mind, I got it like pictured out of how they looking at each other. But the old man, he's like, funny story is I bought that house from a young couple moving to Alaska. And my father-in-law was like, and I picture him looking at him, he's like, that was my daughter and my son-in-law. And then I said, next thing he told us, the old man was like, you reckon they want to buy it back? And I'm like, that's it. I'm done. That is all I need to hear, Lord. That is all. I am all in 100,000%. Now I know we're supposed to be going back. And for y'all that don't know, I know a lot of y'all wouldn't know, but that old man is the old man 6 years ago. We've been here over 6 years now. That's the old man that the Lord used. And that's why I say I know God brought us here for a reason. Because he brought that old man to our house out of the blue. We did not have the house for sale. The house was sitting just like it is, just like this one is, just sitting there. We're day-to-day life. That old man showed up to our house. It was like literally shut his truck off. And I walked out there to see if there was something wrong or something. And he's like, "This your place?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "That's a nice place you got." And I said, I sure appreciate it. He's like, "I just want to see if you might want to sell your place." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll sell it. How much you want for it?" That is the same guy that he said that's what he done. He said over 6 years ago, bought our house for the offer we told him for. He gave us the exact amount of what we told him. Didn't haggle. And in 2 weeks, moved, gave away everything. I think I sold maybe like one thing, or a couple things. I just gave everything away. And we took 8 boxes of stuff and a couple cases of guns, shipped them up here, and we flew up here in 2 weeks. So that's why I say, like, I know God brought us here, because that just doesn't happen. But God specializes in the stuff that just don't normally happen. He really likes that. I got more and more, I'm like, he can do anything. He can do the regular stuff too. But I think he also has, like, he likes that little, like, let's make it a little different. So that's what hit home for me. That last sign was the same guy that bought our house 6 years ago, and he's still out there. He's still doing it. And he put him and my father-in-law together to tell us, as like I say, for me, the final big sign that I needed to know was, I need y'all need to come back down. So I talked to my dad, talked to my mom, told them everything, and they're just blown away, because I am beyond blown away. I'm just now getting to where I could just now tell the story and not cry or tear up anyhow. And but telling my dad, I haven't seen my dad in 5 years. I seen him our first year up here, and I haven't seen him since, just from work and stuff. He's got stuff to, his things he's dealing with. He just can't come up here. And it's also difficult for us to go down and this and that too. But I told him everything, and he's like, I never wanted to say anything that would jeopardize what God has for y'all, because he knows, same as I, that God brought us up here. And he's like, I didn't never want to say anything that would jeopardize, put any kind of guilt or something on your heart. And because I know God brought y'all up there, no matter that, I'd love to have y'all back and the grandkids and everybody again. He's like, I know God brought y'all there, so I never wanted to say anything to jeopardize that. He said, but however, I feel after hearing that, he's like, the only way God could get a hold of you more is to literally grab you and be like, get your butt back. Physically grab me and be like, get your butt. So I say my mom was just ecstatic about it. Just, not the fact that we're moving, but just the fact how God used these people and health, everything just worked in that only way God can do. So anyway, I talked to my pastor. That was the last person I wanted to, that was the person I really wanted to talk to the next day after that call. And I was like, what does this sound to you? I feel like it's 100% God, but I want to run it by you and see what you think. And he's telling me, he's like, sometimes he counsels people that, the enemy is just as quick to try to pull you from God's plan. If he feels like he doesn't know, but he's just going to try to pull you from it. Like if he thinks you're going to go in a certain direction because that's what God wants you to do, he'll try to pull you off of it. And I'm also, of my flesh, I'm still petrified of my own flesh, and he's like, I counsel people and they feel like it is and it's not sometimes, and this thing's happened, this people, they come to him that, just what do you, what's your opinion on this? Because anybody, I can call him right now, but hey, I need your help, or I'm really in a bad spot, and he'd be like, where you want to meet? You want to right now at your house? You want to come to my house? You want to talk on the phone? What do you want to do? Super awesome guy. And he's like, But after, he's like, same thing. He's like, everything you've told me, he's like, I cannot find one red flag that would tell me otherwise, that this ain't God. And he said, in fact, that, and I was not thinking this, y'all. I promise that I was not thinking this. He's like, but God put on his heart that he felt when I told him that I was willing to give up the one thing that I really want to do. Because I'm telling y'all, that is my life, is running the river, and rivers anywhere. And he's like, because you are willing to give the one thing you love to do the most, the absolute most fun passion that you have, and make something else work here, because you knew that God brought you here and you're going to stick it out for what he wanted and not what you wanted, because what I wanted I could have done and been done and gone. And he's like, and I'm not patting myself on the back, y'all. Promise, I screw up every day. I ask for forgiveness of it. That's why Jesus died on the, one of the biggest reasons Jesus died on the cross is for our sins. That is the reason. So I ask for forgiveness. Jesus died on the cross, paid for that. Doesn't mean that you should actively just blow it off and just do it, you know, but when you do mess up, that's why Jesus died on the cross. And God's like, what are you talking about, man? That slate's clean. Don't worry yourself about it. Don't hold a grudge, or not a grudge, but don't, you know, feel like, you know, oh man, I shouldn't have done that, you know, and yeah, and there's, I think it's good to know that you shouldn't have done that, or like when I shouldn't have done that, or whatever it was. But once you ask for forgiveness for it, it's done. Don't fret over it no more. You're just hurting yourself. God's like, what are you talking about? That's clean, bro. What are you talking about? Don't worry about it. So anyway, yeah, it just, I'm trying to get off track, but, yeah, I'm trying to go backtrack to where I was at before. So yeah, I was talking to my pastor, and, you know, he's like, I don't find any red flags or anything like that. And he's like, that, oh yeah. So he was talking about how that, you know, he knew that was, that he felt like that's what God told him. That was the key. When I was willing to give that up, God's like, all right, now I know he's all in, which I didn't realize at the time, you know, but, so anyway, yeah. And then, so my pastor was like, you know, so how long y'all been here? I was like, 6 years. And because at that time, it was like almost exactly 6 years, about a week or two over. We've been here 6 years. And he said, so he's like, when do you think y'all would move? I'm like, man, I don't know. I was like, you know, it literally happened yesterday. I was like, I have no idea. I was like, I'd assume it'd probably be next year, because if we do it, and if this is what God wants to do, we'll drive down 100%. We're going to drive down. I was like, that's my thinking. I was like, of course, God could be like, get rid of everything and buy it all back, fly down. I need you now. And he'll have it all lined up. He'll have it lined out either way. But I'm game for either one. And he also could bring somebody to your doorstep to buy your house out of the blue, y'all. So I will never discount that a possibility ever again. Speaking from experience, God will bring somebody to your door sometime, and he'll make it happen. Okay. So, but in my mind, I'm like, probably next year. Just, you know, getting the house for sale and all that kind of stuff, you know, and I could paint it and get everything looking nice and everything. He's like, okay. He's like, you know, funny thing, also, in the Bible, 7 is the year of completion, which the following year will be our 7th year here. And I said, I am a firm believer, and there ain't no such thing as coincidence. Ain't no such thing. But the fact, it's like, even more that it's 7 years, which I remember hearing in the Bible, 7 is the year of completion. And that's going to be our next year is our 7th year. And this is our 7th winter, actually, right now. This will be our 7th winter. But it just made it even more so real that it's happened to be the 7th year. So anyway, y'all, yeah, that's why I know there was a pretty good sized break in between my videos, a month or so ago, a couple weeks. I don't think I didn't film, or a week or two I didn't film, or 10 days. And then you know, this and that. because I have been, after talking to my pastor, that was the next day after everything had happened, and I told him, I was like, I feel like God's now looking at me going, you trust me or not, man? And how we got here and everything we went, he put us through to get here, and how we got here, I'm like, why should I doubt moving back? For me, I hit that point in my life, I'm like, God brought us up here, and Alaska was more unknown than Alabama, because I was from Alabama. Why would I worry about going back down in the unknowns? Why should I worry about it? So I was telling my pastor, I was like, I feel like God's told me 100% what we're supposed to do. I'm going to act on it, and I'm going to actively show him that I'm all in. So I'm going to start getting rid of stuff, and I'm going to actively show him, like, I'm all in. Stuff's getting gone. We're going to be moving. I need to get rid of stuff. Stuff needs to start getting cleaned up. So that day after, it's like, I'm done. I mean, we're out of here. And for y'all, I'm thinking about it for y'all that my wife, would be wondering what my wife's thinking about all this. She's all in. She's 100%. She's less all in, far as she's worried on a lot of things, and that's totally understandable to be, because we're both in different walks with Christ. She has strengths in that. I have weaknesses in some of her strengths, and then I have strengths in things that are in her weaknesses. That's what makes marriage work, is one person should be strong in some things, and then some are maybe not so strong, and that's where the other side picks that up. And but she's all in. She's like 100%. I know that's God. She's just, she's a little bit worried. I'm like, holy smokes, all this is happening pretty quick, but she's all in too. But so anyway, I've been actively cleaning up. All of us have, trying to get the outside done, cleaned up and done. Thankfully we got a neighbor right here on this road we live on, that we're able to, give most of everything, because they're doing the same thing we do as far as like homesteading and stuff, and they're trying to, they just moved back here. So I was able to just like, hey, y'all can use this. Do you all want this? Take it. Because, hey, I'd rather somebody able to use it and they can just have it, and then be a blessing to them, because I've had that happen. People bless me with things, and I feel like that's just a great thing to keep going, being blessing people. They bless, and then if everybody blesses, it'll be a blessed world. It'll be awesome. So like all our animals, chickens and rabbits, those have been gone for over a month now. They have them. All the rabbit hutches, everything, they got them. All the chicken stuff's gone. Everything's gone, buttoned up. Coop's gone. Everything, like I'll probably inadvertently, I'll probably walk around the yard and y'all see some of the stuff gone. But I'm trying to get everything outside taken care of before the snow really sticks and flies. And then this winter, I'm going to just repaint the house and all, because we do have 6 kids, and they can get pretty rough on the paint in the house. So I'm going to be painting over the walls and stuff, just trying to get it all cleaned up and fixed nice to sell. And just going to give it to God, planning on probably putting it on the market in beginning of next year sometime. And then just steadily getting rid of stuff, and until we get everything boxed up or whatever we're going to end up keeping. And if we end up driving down, we'll get everything ready. Got the camper. I'm going to bring my boat down. And you can use that boat like a U-Haul. I could pack a bunch of stuff in it too, so that doubles down as a great U-Haul. And or say not a bunch, but just whatever we need to bring, or we'd like to bring, put it that way. And yeah, y'all, I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns. I don't know what house what we're gonna end up with. I mean, part of me feels like it'd be in the same old house I would love to, but I don't know. But I'm gonna give it to God, and I'm all in. I know it'll work. I'm trusting God that it will work. It's His plan. Why should I worry? So anyway, y'all, that's what I guess that's pretty much the gist of everything that we got going on. So looking like this is definitely going to be the last winter we have here in Alaska. I am thankful for God bringing us up here, because I felt like we definitely needed it. It was a restart. Those that don't know, like when, as far as like I did say some of the things would happen, but there was several other things that fell into place that God orchestrated that I didn't realize at the time. And looking back, I can tell, I know God orchestrated these things to happen. So anyway, but I'm grateful for the experience up here and things we've learned, the friends we've met. Oh my goodness, so many friends we've met along the way up here. It's been an absolute blessing to our lives. So I'm grateful for all that. Absolutely so grateful for it. But I am looking forward, really, really looking forward to getting back down south and everything. I'm grateful to be with my family down there. My wife's family, friends we had down there that we haven't seen since we've left. And just being back on the water with my family and showing my kids what I did and my wife did and all that stuff again. So hope y'all continue to follow along. If you like, you ain't got to, it's a free country, relatively. And but yeah, so we'll videos are going to be kind of hit and miss on things and whatever we got going, because I'm just in a full-on mode of getting rid of stuff and just trying to just get, clean up stuff and everything. So I'm not really doing a whole lot of things video, as far as I don't know, I may have some video stuff. I am out looking for a cow moose because I have my cow moose tag. Lord willing, we get one of those. Also, before I forget, a couple things pretty big, I guess. We did end up we were able to get a plane ticket for me and my oldest son Luke. So we're gonna be that. I guess that'll be some pretty good videos. Probably. We'll actually be down there very, very soon. I don't want to spoil it because I kind of want y'all to. I think it'd be more fun to just see the video. First video, because I'm gonna try to, I don't do a lot of editing, so I'm able to crank them out pretty quick. But so anyway, we'll be down there just visiting family and friends, and also I'm gonna talk to the owner of our old house and just see where he's at and things like that. Primarily a lot for that too. So y'all just keep an eye out. And also, after I post this video, probably within a day or so, I feel pretty led to that I do want to change the name of our channel. Like the Oranges was just something I did. I knew I wanted to restart the channel. I felt like I needed to restart, get my direction. I wanted people to know where my direction was with the new channel. When I didn't change it, I started over. And I want to give the glory to God right out of the gate. I hadn't been doing that on my other channels. And I'm not knocking anybody, but, for whatever you want to do it, But just for me, I wanted a fresh start. And in doing that kind of thing. But now I feel like I do want to change the name because it was just something I thought of real quick. It's something I heard my whole life is, like, my last name is Valencia. And people are like, oh, like the Oranges, Valencia Oranges. That's typically 90% of the orange juice you drink is from Valencia Oranges. So you're welcome. No relation, unfortunately, to the Valencia family, I don't believe, of the orange people that sell oranges. So anyway, but you'll see that. Those that are, following along, y'all will see that. I'll change my bubble and the name will change, and I'll probably change the banner and all that stuff too. But I feel like I'm ready to change that, and just because of the new chapter in our life now, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a little nervous and a little unnerving a little bit, but I'm looking forward to it. And I know God's in control. Just give it to Him. Doesn't mean we don't go through plenty of trials and tribulations, y'all. Trust me, we do. I don't want to sound like nothing goes wrong. A lot of things. We have a lot of health emergency things happen, and family matters stuff. I didn't really bring it up now that it's pretty well in the past, but like last year when my wife was pregnant with Tilly, she was diagnosed with, I don't remember the technical term, but she had blood clots in her brain, in her veins. And that was a very long, scary months and months of that. That was a long and very scary trial we went through. And that was just this past, was it 4 months ago? So this past winter and spring. that we went through that. So it's definitely not been peaches and cream, y'all. I'll try to be as real as I can with y'all. We go through a ton of things that are, that stink, but that's where we go. We always go to God first and foremost, give him the glory in the good and in the bad. It's all things are for his good, and he'll use them for his good. So anyway, that's all I got to say, I think. If y'all got any, obviously if you want to tell me anything you want to tell me in the comments, and if you got something else you don't want for everybody to see in the comments, I try to remember to tell y'all that I have a email I put in my descriptions of every video. I think I got them in every video. If you want to email me something a little more personal that you don't want everybody to see, totally do it. And I don't mind. I love hearing from y'all. So I'm more than happy to. And anyway, yeah, that'll be it. So as always, y'all take care. God bless. I love you. Jesus does too. See y'all later.